of fact. So I'll call the Finance and Facilities Committee meeting of the Manitowoc Public School District to order. And first on the agenda is a long-term budget decision. This is information and discussion only, does not require action. So I'm turning this over to Mr. Nathan.
So we had October was all about 25-26's budget. That's behind us. Now we need to look, or at least I do.
Yeah, you're
and
such
talk to
good,
you
full
all
of good news.
about looking at what's next. So if we just take a look up at the screens, what I wanted to do is just use this simple little model as just sort of a way to start a conversation or make you think about something. So so this is where we're at. So that's what we did this year. I started distributing the tax levy certificates that Keith signed last week. Started dropping them off at municipalities today. So, this is where we're at in terms of everything. So we chose to under levy just a hair under $3.7 million. That got us to the goal of having just a 3% raise on the levy for this coming year. So that's what we're doing now. Then we have 3 years to look out here. The operational referendum is still good for a couple more years. So just taking a look at that, that's gonna go up from 13 this year. So 13 this year, we only used, about like $9.3 million of that 13 million. Next year's going up to 15. The year after that, it goes up to 17.5. If we don't do anything, say we just, hey, we're just gonna let it roll the way it goes. These are just projected numbers in terms of, what our revenue limit's gonna be in the next couple of years. But if we don't do anything, we don't under levy for next year, we're looking at a 24% increase. So look at when we under levied this year, we just, we pulled, so, we sort of, built a little pressure in terms of when you release it, boom, then it's gonna really go up, to 24% if we don't under levy again. So you have that sort of pressure in the system that with the operational referendum and with it continuing to go up, if we, let the balloon go, it would fly off into a 24% increase. Then it'll go up again. Another $2.5 million for 27-28. That's gonna, that'll raise up our total levy another 12%. So over 2 years, we're looking at 36% increase. But then past 27-28, we have that operational referendum dropping off. So if I just highlight that there in red, so that all of a sudden, boom, there's if the operational referendum, if we don't try to pass a new one, that's a significant chunk of money. Right now we're using $9.3 million of that operational referendum. Then all of a sudden, we're sort of doing the roller coaster that happened earlier this decade with old debt dropping off, not having a new plan for referendum debt to start working on the buildings, and then the operational referendum came through, and then things went back up. So people don't remember the drop, but they remember it, when it shoots back up. So I wanted to just show you all these different things that these different inputs that we have to figure out, what we're doing when it comes to, what we're asking our taxpayers to pay for. And this year, the state, and over the next 2 years, the state said, well, you can raise your revenue, keep raising your revenue limits, with the $325 a month, but don't expect us, or a year additional per pupil, but don't expect us to pay for it because the amount of money for equalization, it stayed the same. In some districts, Kenosha, it was like $100 million, $90 to $100 million went from aid to the levy. Not quite as, not as severe for us, but, there's no extra pot of gold coming from somewhere else. We just need, and then the other part here, we have $25 million. Mike and his folks are working hard to fix up buildings, to do the things that are on the need to do list. You know, eventually, you know, I mean, there's more than $25 million worth of work to do around the district. So that's another input there, you know, so right now we have, you know, $665,000 debt payments, for the foreseeable future, until that ramps up in about 10 years when principal starts getting added in. But, you know, I mean, certainly we're not, you know, we don't have our eye on any sort of referendum in the near term, but in the future, you know, what might that be? You know, how much work are we gonna tackle with another referendum? You know, the $665,000 that, you know, that got us, that we're borrowing 25 million on that, so we talk about 50, 70, $100 million for some of the work that needs to be done. All those things, you know, all those things have to factor in. So, just talking about just, you know, potential, you know, scenarios, if we would just look at next year. So let's highlight 26, 27. So let's say, you know, we 24% increase, that's, you know, I mean, if we want to, yeah, you know, if we're looking at, you know, eventually going to referendum for our buildings, doing a 24% increase, you know, I don't think that would help our fortunes out at the ballot box. You know, if we're looking at, in terms of trying to keep that down, you know, if we under levied $3.6 million, maybe, you know, we need to under levy 5.6. You know, and that gets us to a little bit more, you know, I mean, we're not back to 3%, but, you know, 5%, you know, a little more, you know, a bit more palatable, right? You know, and then, you know, you look at the next year where it's $17.5 million. You know, so now we're, you know, last year was a 14% raise, 3%, 5%, you know, looking at it again, like what would be a good number for us to land on again, you know, maybe, let's say $7.5 million to under levy. Okay, that bumped us up to a 8% increase. But, you know, I mean, if we want to start doing some work on buildings, we have to keep, you know, these parts in mind right here. You know, what happens if we want to, let's say, a $75 million referendum? Random number, and I'm just taking $700,000, I'm multiplying it by 3.
Nate, a quick question. In the past, the district has under levied many, many times. That got us into this mess about being a low spending district. If we keep under levying all the time and not levying or spending to the max, what's that gonna do to us?
Well, the thing is, right now, like what happened in Manitowoc when you were an administrator, you're under levying without referendum.
Correct.
Like right now, you know, we're under levying referendum.
Because of the referendum.
Yeah.
So we can do that now because of the referendum.
Yeah, if the referendum wasn't there, we would be.
Yeah.
Skyrocket.
Yeah, well, we would be
Exactly.
maxing it out.
So to make a conversation smooth, because of years ago of constant under levying without referendum, we now have built this line that in order to stay solvent and not kill the taxpayers, we're gonna have to continually come back in a course of action for referendums to make us so our property taxes, even though the property level is going up, we're still gonna have to come through with some of that tactic to keep us so we are at a decent percentage on a tax levy. Correct?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the strategy is, you know, how do you keep that increase at a palatable and responsible?
Correct.
Right? And so that's why I just think, you know, and I don't think the point can be made clear enough that I really believe that the district acted in very good faith this year with the under levying that we're doing. And to Keith's point, you know, I'm at workshop number 2 of the first year superintendent, and they're talking about your budget, and they're talking about under levying, and they, you don't wanna under levy because you don't, well, yes, but we're under levying referendum dollars, and they're talking about under levying your authority without operational.
Correct.
So that's the clarifier there, is that we're under levying, yes, but we're under levying
Because-
operational help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, all these factors, you know, are going to click into like, how can we make something so it is, you know, just a sort of smooth incline to like a plateau where, you know, we're paying for fixing our buildings. We have enough money to keep services at the levels they need to be. And things are for our taxpayers are going to be, you know, it's gonna be clear and that predictable.
But I think another thing to understand is that this board is, and not to get ahead of next month's agenda or the next meeting's agenda, but we're looking at doing the right sizing for our district. That's also gonna tremendously help with these kind of budget decisions. Correct?
It'll help, yep, it'll help. But, you know, I mean, the cost, the main cost that we have in,
People in person.
yep. Yeah, exactly. It's a-
It's not gonna help to the tune of 17 million.
No,
Right.
no, it's,
So-
it's gonna help, but.
We end up with a zero sum at that point. That's gonna be a huge painful
Correct.
So
reality.
Nate, are you putting in what we would need for an operational referendum in 28, 29 to
Just an-
stay
just-
afloat?
Just an idea.
Yeah.
Okay, just to, you know, again, just sort of, you know, put numbers out there. Baird's working with me to like get a little more clear number, a little more solid numbers in terms of what that's gonna cost. So over here, I'm guessing that like, say $75 million worth of debt is gonna be another $2.1 million worth of debt payments. And then I'm just tossing in under the operational referendum, 8 million. You know, we're using 9.3 right now. This district's gonna continue, you know, our enrollment's declining. You know, potentially, you know, our footprint's gonna change as well. So just sort of some ideas of things we gotta think about. You know, like, does $75 million solve all our problems? With buildings, is it what we wanna do? What's the number we're eventually going to have to land on, you know, down the road when we say, okay, well, we did that $25 million of stuff right now, okay? What are the next investments? You know, and that's, you know, the situation we're in is what we're in.
We've got to be a year ahead of those communications,
Yeah.
saying this is terrific. I love where you can plug in the numbers. I'd like to see us go 2 more years beyond this.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
No problem. The model that I work with for budget forecasting, we're gonna get our new model from Baird in December. So, you know, after all the things we're gonna discuss this fall is over, you know, back in January, we can look out and, you know, this is just a simple little model, to
Keep it
look
this
at.
simple.
Okay, yeah.
Doesn't need. Because if we're gonna try to explain
Sure,
this to our
yeah.
stakeholders,
Yeah.
we wanna keep it
Yeah.
simple.
Yeah, so again, you know, and that's, you know, $75 million does sound like a lot. But there's just a lot of stuff that has been done for a really long time. So I think that's that could potentially be a place to start, but I don't think it's the destination though either for the district. So that's just some ideas, you know, in 28, 29, because boy, if you drop, say we pass a building referendum, but not an operational referendum, then we're dealing, then, I mean, things drop a lot, but like if you look at, our revenue limit with exceptions, and I realize this is an inflated number because of the 17.5, but 63, you go from 79 million, or if you just look at where we are at right now, 74 million to 63 million for a revenue limit change. Because you don't have the operational referendum. That's deep. You know, sorry to be like a downer today, but you know, like it's
The
just-
reality.
Yeah, it's just, they're just things we gotta think about. I'll stop talking for a while. But that's, you know, those are the things, we're gonna have to tackle as a finance and facilities team, in the not so distant future.
Any other questions for Nate?
Can we ask
Very well done.
questions? Can I ask questions?
Yes, you may ask a question, as long as we recognize you as,
So when you guys come up with that $75 million number, that's based off of core need, in my humble opinion. So it's windows, you know, roofs, it's like keeping the district running. And you had a third party come in and give you an overview of how much money needed to be spent, and I think the number was like $125 million or something like that, and you paired it back. Do you ever reach out to the employees of the school district to get their input beyond just what Mike's group needs to keep everything running? And the only reason I ask this is because when you spend $75 million and you don't put a few extra things in there that keep humans happy, right? Some new score, I mean, I'm a part of the baseball program right now, but you know, just some splash to show the community that yes, we're making the buildings usable, but we're also like giving the students and the teachers some things so that they can hang their hat on. I think it would be interesting to do a study of what other people's input are, of what they think our needs are beyond just the windows and doors and roofs. And maybe we do that all the time. Maybe
That's our facility advisory committee.
Yes,
We're doing it.
but I just think going above.
Have staff and community doing it.
Because I think there's a lot of things that people look at in the community that there's just these elements that are missing as far as kind of, you know, the nice to haves things when you go to JFK or when you go to other schools for basketball tournaments or volleyball stuff or gymnastics or swimming or whatever. So it's just my opinion.
Yeah, and I threw out 75 million
Yeah.
as, you know, I don't wanna, you know, you know, cause any, you know, nuclear meltdown, sorry, Ann. You know, like, you know, where you're throwing money, where you're throwing big, cause I mean, yeah, it's gonna cost a lot of money. You know, and then like, so I live in a place, you know, we passed a referendum for a new middle school and a renovated high school. So my youngest will go to Nicolay. And it's really fantastic, but you know, it was a big ask. And I mean, the opportunities my youngest son who's going, it was at the middle school and will go to the high school, Nicolay, next year, like it's awesome. Absolutely awesome.
They were
what
a high spending school in
I know.
1994.
Yeah. Yes, they were. Yep. And I go, I'm just.
They were number one at that time.
I'm only comparing what my tax bill says.
We were 49.
In Fox Point. Yeah, it's
Up to
awesome.
50th.
It's just one of those, you know, Appleton North just rolled out a big spread this week of all the new kind of gadgets that they put into their, you know, like player development areas, and you look at what Appleton West is doing right now, and we know what Kimberly has and Kaukauna has, and it's just, at some point, people look at the mirror and say, when is it our turn to get some of that indoor, you know, sports space and whatnot, so.
Our kids deserve nice stuff.
And other learning, right? There's other learning that they
That's-
could be doing.
Contact your congressman, your state legislature, because our hands are tied by state law. Yep. And they're sitting on $4.1 billion. Yeah.
unused.
That,
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Mike regarding this? All right, on to the next agenda item, facilities fees. This is informational, open for discussion, and we do have to have a motion to follow through with this recommendation. Michael, I'll turn it over to you.
Last year, we did the facilities fees for using our sports and our classrooms and all of that. So we took a look at it again this year, and like just for using Rubik Field and that stuff, we're charging, I'll say Roncalli is paying $250 per use on that field. they're really happy about that. And, so we just thought we'd better take a look at it, and especially with the baseball field going in now, that is some expensive real estate there, so. And looking around at other, districts in eastern Wisconsin and that, we can see that their rates and fees are way up. So we just looked at it, we said, like, for next year, let's raise it up to $350 for the, football and baseball field for usage. And then every 2 years, we'd like to reevaluate all of that. And in this time, I mean, we took a quick look at it now, but we'll take a real hard, serious look. I'll look at it with Stan Dietrich, our athletic director, and we'll see what everyone else is charging and that stuff. And we should just keep up, because in 15 years, when it comes time to replace that carpet that we're putting in now, I can only imagine what it's gonna cost at that point then.
Well, I think in conversation as well as supporting of this, we have not done this in years. We have not increased utilization
Correct.
for years. And most of the districts, very similar in our own conference, are charging by the hour. And I think we're still one that's charging per event, which is still a bargain deal. There needs to be an amended to the fee waiver on all MPSD and MYB. That would be the cost would stay the same, as well as no change in fee charge to the Youth Legion program post 88. They have been instrumental and have serviced youth in this community for years and years and years. So I think at this time, the amended motion would to include the Legion post 88, no fee changed for this year as well. Any questions to Mike or anybody else? Yes.
I would like to propose amended rates already. I think we need to incrementally raise them every year, because I think 350 is too low. So I propose 350 the following year, 500 the following year, 750.
350 for the next year, 500 the following year,
And 750 the year.
and 750 the following year?
For the 26-27 school year,
Yes.
500 for the 27-28, and 750
Yes.
for the 28-29.
So rather than a review of every 2 years, would be a review every 3 years then? We'll set these rates for review to have place every 3 years? Any discussion about that? I'll accept the amended.
I like that idea. I think it's,
So,
it also allows other people to plan ahead. That's
correct.
That's good too.
And we'll send communications to anyone who's rented those spaces the last couple of years to let them know.
so I need a motion then to approve the amended. If you want to make that, Ann, go ahead.
Second.
Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Nice idea. Number 4 on the agenda item is the baseball field expenses. Michael, you want to talk about that as well?
Just putting it simply, it looks right now like our total expenses are gonna be 2.4 million to do the field. And, we have $1,900,000 in donations, so we are short right now the $500,000. It could have been more than that. We're looking at new lights and everything. That's almost $250,000 just to put new lights on that field without the poles. But I was there just before I came now, and they had the lights on practicing, and so the lights are working. They can see what they're doing, and we'll keep that out of there now. So we're looking at the additional $500,000 that we're gonna need.
Well, I think to clarify that, I think that there was for $220,000, there was a bid for the new lights. But you look at the new light structure, you look at those quads, we're gonna go ahead and replace the lights that need to be replaced, but not those full banks. Manitowoc High School uses very few lights at night because our sports take place at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so it's really not that much to oversight this budget. The other reason the 500,000 is in there is because there's still money coming in, talking to the coaches, there's still money coming in, but there's bills that have to be paid. The contractors want their money. So the monies coming in would go back into Fund 46, which is non-revenue money. It's money that's designated in the district to repair facilities. The money would be taken out of there to pay these contractors to get this thing done. And then any monies coming back in from the fundraising would go back into Fund 46. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, yeah, that's, and the word, the term I use is providing liquidity. So the district, so, you know, there's different fund balances. With Fund 46, that is a fund balance that is restricted specifically for facilities. So there's that, so right now we have about $3 million, you know, in that piggy bank. So we're gonna break that piggy bank open and take some money out for this project to get it finished off and the last of work to be done. And then, you know, as, you know, Ken and Joyce have shared with me about the donations that have come in, as, you know, they write checks from the foundation that we deposit, you know, in the school district's bank account. And, you know, some folks they've made an upfront, you know, donation, or not upfront, but like a donation that they're going to do over several years. So every year they're gonna give whatever it is they're gonna give. So that money's gonna come in, it's gonna go through the foundation, write a check, then that money will.
And we
Very similar.
for all of that 500,000.
I don't know about that.
That would be the goal.
Yeah. I don't know if I don't know if there's another $500,000 in donations out there.
I do have a question about, now the 46, is that sitting in investments right now, or is that just, it's a holding of that $3 million?
It's an investment, so we have
Okay,
to.
because if
take it
that
out.
500,000 is going out, are we then allowed, if someone would miraculously donate 600,000 to fill up the investment loss?
yeah.
Goes right
Then that's all okay and above board and everything. Okay.
That's what that fund.
Yeah, it's not like a CD where like you have to like pay to get it out early. It's there. We just call it restricted, like in our accounting system. So it's like, hey, like.
Yeah.
Really,
I don't know if there were any state law rules.
really, when you take a look at it, it's really not a total of $500,000. It could be up to $500,000 because the total cost was not quite
Okay.
close to $500,000. The same thing the board did with the football field. Like I said, the contractors, when we remodeled the football field, the contractors get paid. And when the monies, as Nate said, people pledge $5,000 for 3 years or $7,000 for 10 years or whatever it is, as that comes in, it went back into 46. They paid their bills, but the board gave them the extra money to finish off that project so that it could be complete. That's where we're at this point. Any other questions? I need a motion then to approve, to pull funds from Fund 46 to finish the baseball project.
I'll move to allow up to $500,000 to provide liquidity to finish the baseball field.
Okay, allow up to, thank you. Second? I'll second it. Any other further discussion?
I just don't like the idea of, you've already donated 900,000.
Yeah, I agree with that.
What
but
about
we're
the
at
next
Right, we're at the point though in this project where it's like,
Would we have an unfinished project?
I don't know.
The money is still coming in. I mean, the money's gonna get paid back.
We hope.
We hope, well, sure, I mean, the same hope that was for the football field. But that didn't stop the football field from going through, and you didn't stop it when it got time for the final bills to the football field. I think the board kicked in a couple $100,000 more. I think it was $300,000 to finish off that project. And the board had already given money. The board had already given the bank of bleachers and the bank of lights. It's our facility, and we voted to approve the facility.
How did we get here to overspending it, though? I mean, how,
I don't think it is overspent. I think it's paying the contractors the bill until that money's there.
I don't,
I might be wrong, but I think the estimated donations are falling short of where they were projected to
are we
be.
gonna have any campaign to encourage more donations? I have a very hard time pulling this much money for one sport.
For doing what?
Granted, it's baseball and American Pie, all that stuff. I just have a hard time with it. I had a hard time with the $900,000, but that's before I was sitting here.
Well, that may, I respect your opinion, but I think the board has made a commitment to this project, and we cannot, as a board, say, okay, contractors, stop your work and go home. It's a commitment that we made to the district and to this community by a unanimous decision last December to approve this and to give us a complete project. I don't know how we can not, the money is there, it's not revenue money, it's not anything based. It will get put back into the fund to complete this project and probably have the finest foot or baseball facility in probably all of Northeast Wisconsin, if not Wisconsin, which is gonna create revenue as well. I think that it's not uncommon. We had to do it before. We had to do it for JFK when we remodeled JFK. We had to do it for every facility that we did athletically, based on donations. So donations come in, they trickle in. So when they come in, it's like a credit card. You pay the bill and away you go. So I don't see.
As, for me, it's already sitting in 46. It's not taking away from a science lab or something like
Correct.
that. So in my brain, I can live with it.
Correct.
I would,
Okay.
I want to be on record that I am not happy about it.
I wish somebody would come up and give us another $500,000. I mean, that's the limit. And I like your position that up to $500,000.
Yeah, only take what we need.
Take it, absolutely.
yeah.
Any other discussion? Any other questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. We'll go to the board. Anything else for the good of the order?
There was one other attachment in there, the Baird fine print. I don't know if we needed to talk about that at all. The Moody's
Oh,
Oh, that was,
rating.
yeah.
so, just one thing from, the start of the discussion is like, the things that we, have control over, in terms of like when we start talking about, other projects. The likelihood of us being upgraded isn't great, but when we look at, key factors that Moody's was looking at, stabilizing enrollment trends. So, certainly working on that with our culture of excellence, bringing some stability, trying to get people back, families back into the district, that's something we're working on, but that's a little more nebulous, hard to, put a number on that. Economic growth rate that raises resident income, that's certainly something we have no control over. But the fund balance ratio approaching 30% is something that we can control. So when we start thinking, when we, go back and look at, the couple of years out, and then, if we want to look out like Ann mentioned, like looking out 5 years, that's something that we can control and we can work that into the budget. So when we go, it's important that we hold, we're a what is it, AAA 3?
We're on the bottom rung of the top rung.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But there are significant costs if you fall out of the top rung, that come with added insurance. Or additional interest. So that being a part of that whole equation, thinking about our fund balance.
What did we end up putting in fund balance this year? 2.5 million?
1.2.
Yeah.
1.2, it went into fund balance this year?
Yeah. Yep, so, you know, just, it's something, it's just another input to think about when we talk about.
Is that because, is that as a result of still under levy, or would it have been?
No,
Okay.
no, underspend.
Underspend.
Yeah, underspend. So there was money left over at the end of the year, so, just another thing.
The last 5 years, I think we're in between 400,000 and about the 1 point.
Yeah, there was.
Maybe it was 1 year, it was.
There was 1 year it was like 1.5.
Yeah, so that tends to be our average.
In the last administration, though, we did not put 1.5 million into fund balance.
I mean, that.
I can't
that's
remember what
the
year it
audited
was.
numbers, one of them was like 1.
Yeah.
So, you know, something that we, you know, through good budget planning, long-term budget planning, you know, that's something we can keep and start and keep pushing, towards that 30%, spot, because, you know, we're going to have to issue more debt at some point in time. So, that was the point I wanted to make with the Moody's rating letter from last spring.
Any other questions for Nate? Thanks, you guys.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second? Yep. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you. Thanks for a good meeting. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, everyone.
Hey, Lee, I've got a quick question for you. I made the mistake of reading one of the local pages.
Oh, great.
No.
So what I wanted